If you ever think about stealing 5 years of someone's hard work, you'd better make sure they don't hold the master key to your downfall. My name is Marcus. And 3 months ago, my best friend and business partner betrayed me, stole my multi-million-dollar software patent, and kicked me out of the company we built together. He thought he won. He even threw a massive launch party to celebrate his new startup. But what he didn't realize was that the patent he stole was a bait. And tonight, I'm pulling the string that destroys him completely. I stood outside the glass skyscraper in downtown Austin, watching the neon lights flicker on the top floor. There was a massive banner hanging across the entrance that read, "Oratech, the future of cloud security." Inside that penthouse, people were drinking expensive champagne, laughing, and celebrating. They were celebrating Julian Vance, the young, brilliant tech entrepreneur who just secured $20 million in series of funding. The media called him a visionary. The investors called him a genius. But to me, he was just a thief, a traitor. And once upon a time, my best friend, 5 years ago, Julian and I started in a drafty garage, basic wooden desks, cold pizza boxes, and a shared vision. I was the software engineer, the quiet guy who spent 18 hours a day coding, building algorithms, writing patents line by line. Julian was the face, the smooth-talking salesman who could pitch water to a drowning man. We had an agreement, 50-50. Everything split right down the middle. For 4 long years, I poured my blood, sweat, and entire soul into developing CoreSync, a revolutionary encryption system capable of securing massive cloud databases against high-level cyber attacks. It was my masterwork, a project worth millions, maybe even billions. Everything was ready for the official patent filing. But 3 months ago, everything changed. I arrived at our office early on a Monday morning, ready to sign the final partnership documents and file the patent under our joint entity. But my keycard didn't work. The red light flashed on the scanner. Access denied. Before I could call Julian, 2 heavy-set security guards stepped out of the lobby. They handed me a cardboard box containing my personal desk items, coffee mug, notebook, framed photo of my dog. Then Julian stepped out, wearing a brand new Italian suit, flanked by a lawyer holding a thick stack of papers. "What is this, Julian?" I asked, my heart hammering against my ribs. Julian didn't even look me in the eye. He adjusted his cufflinks, smiled coldly, and said, "It's business, Marcus. You're being released from the company. Effective immediately." Released. Choked out. "We built this together. CoreSync is my design. I wrote every line of code." The lawyer stepped forward, his voice dripping with condescension. "Actually, Mr. Vance filed the patent under his own name 3 days ago. As of right now, you have no legal claim to CoreSync. If you step foot on this property again, or contact our investors, we will sue you for corporate espionage." They stole it. Julian had secretly copied my entire source code, forged my signature on assignment papers, and registered the patent exclusively under his name. I left that day with nothing. No job, no money, no recognition. For 2 weeks, I fell into a deep, dark hole. I sat in my dark apartment, drinking cheap whiskey, listening to the news talk about Julian Vance, the new tech golden boy. He stole my life. He threw me out like trash. But on the 15th night, as I looked at my old backup hard drive, a memory sparked in my mind. Julian was a salesman. Not a programmer. He knew how to pitch, but he never actually understood how my code worked. He didn't know that 3 months before he stole the software, I had built a secret, fail-safe feature deep inside the core framework. I sat up in the dark, pushed the whiskey bottle aside, and opened my laptop. A cold smile spread across my face. Julian thought he stole a multi-million-dollar gold mine. He had no idea. He was sitting on a ticking time bomb, and I was about to press the detonator. To understand the trap I set, you have to understand how CoreSync was built. Julian thought programming was like building a house. You put up the walls, paint the rooms, and as long as it looks pretty, it works. But high-level software architecture isn't a house. It's an ecosystem. For months before Julian betrayed me, I anticipated that something felt off. Julian had started having private dinners with venture capitalists, hiding his phone when I walked into the room, and delaying our legal partnership filings. My gut told me to be careful. So, deep inside the core framework of CoreSync, buried under 80,000 lines of complex cryptographic code, I embedded a master dependency switch. I called it the anchor clause. It wasn't malware, and it wasn't a virus. It was simply a legal and technical verification loop. Every 90 days, the system automatically executed a silent security handshake with an external, heavily encrypted private server. A server hosted entirely under my personal name and private key. If the handshake succeeded, CoreSync ran flawlessly, blazing fast, perfectly secure. But if that server didn't respond, or if my private key was revoked, the system wouldn't crash immediately. That would have been too obvious. Instead, the system would slowly begin to degrade. It would mistake high-volume enterprise traffic for a distributed denial-of-service attack and lock down all database permissions, effectively freezing every server connected to it. And guess when the 90-day deadline was set to expire? In exactly 72 hours. The timing was almost poetic. Julian was scheduled to sign a $40 million contract with Vanguard National Bank on Friday morning. Vanguard was the biggest financial institution in the state. If Julian secured them as a client, Ortec would become an overnight titan. He was planning to do a live, real-time demonstration of CoreSync in front of Vanguard's entire board of directors, streaming gigabytes of sensitive transaction data live on stage. He was going to use my life's work to make himself a multimillionaire. I leaned back in my chair, watching the digital clock on my desktop tick down. I had two choices. I could manually send the authorization signal, extend the timer, and let Julian walk away with $40 million, or I could do absolutely nothing and let his own greed destroy him. But I didn't just want to watch him fail. I wanted to ensure he could never recover. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in years. "Hello, Marcus." A stern voice answered on the third ring. It was Eleanor Vance, Julian's estranged aunt, and one of the most ruthless corporate litigation attorneys in the country. Eleanor hated Julian's father, and she despised Julian's cutthroat business tactics. "Eleanor," I said quietly, "Julian stole my patent, and he's about to sign a $40 million deal using stolen IP. I need your help to execute a counterstrike." There was a long silence on the line, followed by the sound of a lighter sparking. "I've been waiting for this call, Marcus," Eleanor replied, her voice smooth as silk. "Tell me everything, and don't leave out a single detail." The stage was set. Julian had the money. the fame, and the glory, but in less than 3 days, the trap was going to spring. The coffee shop on 4th Street was quiet, save for the low hum of an espresso machine. I sat in a corner booth, waiting for Eleanor Vance. When she walked in, she commanded the entire room without saying a word. Tailored black suit, silver hair pulled back tightly, carrying a worn leather briefcase. She slid into the booth opposite me, set her phone face down on the table, and looked straight into my eyes. "You look terrible, Marcus," she said, her tone sharp, but not unkind. "I haven't slept in 3 weeks, Eleanor," I replied, pushing a manila folder across the table. "Everything is in there. Original commit logs, time-stamped repository entries, and my original patent application notes, dated 2 years before Julian filed under his name." Eleanor opened the file, flipping through the pages with practice speed. Her eyes scanned the technical data, the dates, and the signatures. A slow, dangerous smile formed on her lips. "Julian was sloppy," she whispered. "He thought because he had money and high-priced lawyers, you would just disappear. He didn't account for the paper trail." "Paper trails take months in court, Eleanor," I said, leaning forward. "Julian is signing the Vanguard National Bank deal in 48 hours. Once that $40 million clears, he can hire an army of attorneys to tie me up in litigation for a decade. I'll be bankrupt before I ever see a courtroom." "Which is why," Eleanor said, shutting the folder with a sharp snap, "we aren't going to fight him in court. At least, not at first." She pulled out her own tablet, tapping the screen and turning it toward me. "Vanguard National Bank isn't just any client," Eleanor explained. "Their board of directors is notoriously paranoid about cybersecurity. Their chief risk officer, a man named Arthur Pendleton, is an absolute fanatic about corporate compliance. If there is even a rumor of IP theft or system instability, Pendleton will freeze the entire deal." "So we leaked the patent dispute to Pendleton?" asked. "No." Eleanor smiled coldly. "If we leak it now, Julian's lawyers will claim it's a disgruntled ex-employee making false allegations. We let Julian proceed with the live demo. We let him stand in front of the entire Vanguard board, boasting about how secure CoreSync is. And right when he tries to execute the live transaction," I continued, realization dawning on me, "the anchor clause will trigger." "Precisely," Eleanor said. "The system will lock up on live television, in front of the most powerful bankers in the country. And right at that exact second, I will walk into the boardroom and serve Julian Vance with a federal emergency injunction for patent infringement and corporate fraud." I looked at Eleanor, feeling a chill run down my spine. This wasn't just a legal defense. It was a total public execution of his reputation. "Are you ready for this, Marcus?" Eleanor asked, her eyes locking onto mine. "Once we push this button, there is no turning back. Julian will be ruined, Oratech will collapse, and the tech industry will shut its doors to him forever." I thought about the 5 years I spent in that garage. I thought about the security guards handing me my life in a cardboard box. I thought about Julian drinking champagne, celebrating on my stolen blood and sweat. I looked Eleanor dead in the eye and said, "Let it burn." Friday morning arrived, crisp, cold, and merciless. The grand ballroom at the St. Regis Hotel in downtown Austin was packed. Over 200 financial executives, venture capitalists, and journalists were in attendance. At the center of the stage, standing in front of a 30-foot digital screen, was Julian Vance. He wore a sleek charcoal suit, holding a sleek presentation clicker, looking every bit like the tech savior he claimed to be. In the front row sat Arthur Pendleton, the chief risk officer of Vanguard National Bank, a formidable man with cold eyes. Flanked by Vanguard's senior legal team, I sat in the very back row, hidden under a dark hoodie and sunglasses, completely invisible in the crowd. My phone hummed in my pocket. A single text from Eleanor. Federal marshals are in position, awaiting your signal. I glanced at my watch. 10:42 a.m. The 90-day anchor clause timer had less than 4 minutes remaining. On stage, Julian flashed his trademark blinding smile. Ladies and gentlemen. Julian's voice echoed through the high-end speakers. For decades, enterprise database security has been reactive, waiting for a breach to happen before patching the hole. But CoreSync changes the game forever. The screen behind him lit up with dynamic data visualizations, blue streams of code flowing effortlessly. Today, Julian continued, pacing across the stage with total confidence, we are performing a live, real-time stress test. We are routing Vanguard's primary server traffic through CoreSync. Right now, live on stage. Arthur Pendleton leaned forward, watching the screen intently. Julian clicked a button. As you can see, 5 million encrypted data packets per second, 0 latency, 0 security vulnerabilities, absolute perfection. The crowd gasped. Whispers of amazement filled the room. Vanguard's executives were already smiling, nodding to one another, preparing to sign the $40 million contract sitting on the table in front of them. 10:44 a.m. 2 minutes left. Julian walked toward the center podium, where a silver pen lay beside the contract. With this partnership, Julian boomed, Oratech and Vanguard will redefine corporate security for the modern age. He picked up the pen, leaning over to sign. 10:45 a.m. 0 seconds. Deep inside my encrypted private server, 40 miles away. The missing handshake request timed out. The anchor clause activated. On stage, the massive screen flickered. The smooth blue streams of code suddenly turned a violent, flashing crimson. A loud, sharp alarm sounded through the ballroom audio system. Julian froze, the pen hovering inches above the paper. He looked up at the screen, his smile instantly evaporating. What is this? Julian stammered, frantically clicking his remote. Technical glitch. Just a momentary buffering issue. But it wasn't a glitch. The CoreSync architecture was locking down, misinterpreting Vanguard's live data streams as a massive cyber attack. Across the screen, bold yellow text began scrolling at terrifying speed. Critical error. Security handshake failed. Revoking master deployment keys. Entire system entering hard lockdown. Arthur Pendleton stood up so fast his chair knocked over backward. What is going on with our live data stream, Vance? He roared, before Julian could answer. The double doors at the back of the ballroom burst open. Eleanor Vance walked in, followed by 2 federal marshals in dark suits. The entire room fell dead silent. The heavy oak doors of the grand ballroom clicked shut behind Eleanor Vance, sending a sharp echo through the silent hall. Two federal marshals in dark tailored coats walked in step behind her, their posture rigid, eyes fixed straight on Julian. Julian stood frozen on stage, the silver pen slipping from his numb fingers and clattering against the glass podium. On the 30-foot screen behind him, the crimson error logs continued to scroll at blinding speed. System lockdown active. Access revoked. Arthur Pendleton, the chief risk officer of Vanguard National Bank, stepped into the aisle, his face dark with fury. "Eleanor Vance?" Pendleton said, his voice booming across the room. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" Eleanor didn't even slow her pace. Her high heels clicked rhythmically against the polished marble floor as she walked straight down the center aisle, passing dozens of stunned tech investors and journalists. "The meaning, Mr. Pendleton," Eleanor announced, her voice smooth, crisp, and carrying effortlessly through the ballroom, "is that you are about to sign a $40 million agreement for software that does not belong to Oratech." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Cameras began flashing instantly. Reporters pulled out their phones, capturing every second. Julian's lead attorney, a tall man named Bradley, rushed from the front row to intercept Eleanor. "This is an outrageous publicity stunt," Bradley shouted, blocking her path. "This is a private corporate demonstration. Security, remove these people immediately." The two federal marshals stepped forward, silently opening their coats to display their official badges. Bradley froze in his tracks, his face turning pale. "I am serving a temporary emergency restraining order," Eleanor said, pulling a thick, blue-stamped document from her briefcase. "Issued 3 hours ago by the United States District Court." She walked right past Bradley, stepping up the stairs onto the main stage. Standing just 3 feet away from Julian was trembling, sweat glistening on his forehead under the bright stage lights. "Eleanor," he whispered, his voice cracking. "What are you doing? You're my aunt. We're family." "Family," Eleanor repeated, her eyes cold as ice. "Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't steal 5 years of another man's life and hand him a cardboard box at 6 in the morning." She held out the legal documents, pressing them firmly against Julian's chest. "Julian Vance," Eleanor declared, loud enough for every microphone in the hall to catch. "You are hereby served with a formal freeze on all Oratech assets, effective immediately. You are commanded to cease and desist all deployment, licensing, and marketing of the CoreSync software architecture." "On what grounds?" Julian screamed, his composure breaking completely. "I hold the official patent. The government granted it to me. A patent obtained through corporate fraud and perjury," Eleanor replied calmly. She turned to face Arthur Pendleton and the Vanguard board members. "Mr. Pendleton," Eleanor said, pointing toward the screen, "the system lockdown you are witnessing right now is not a technical glitch. It is a built-in cryptographic verification protocol, written into the source code 2 years before Julian ever claimed ownership. A protocol that can only be unlocked by the true author of the code." Pendleton looked at the crimson screen, then looked at Julian, whose mouth was moving, but no words were coming out. Pendleton adjusted his suit jacket, turned to his legal team, and made a swift, decisive gesture. "Cancel the wire transfer." Pendleton ordered coldness in his tone. "Tear up the contract. We are done here." "No. Wait." Julian pleaded, running to the edge of the stage. "Arthur, it's a misunderstanding. I can fix the code. Give me 24 hours. But Pendleton was already walking out, flanked by his security detail, followed by every major investor in the room. I sat in the dark back row, watching as Julian fell to his knees on that massive stage, completely surrounded by flashing cameras and the ruins of his stolen empire. I pulled out my phone, opened my messages, and typed 3 words to Eleanor. Phase 1 complete. By 6 o'clock that evening, the video of Julian's catastrophic presentation was trending #1 across every social media platform. The tech blogs were calling it the $40 million system crash. Major news networks broadcasted the footage of federal marshals stepping onto the stage. Over and over again, Julian's company, Storytime, was in absolute freefall. Investors who had poured millions into series of funding were now filing emergency lawsuits, demanding their capital back. The board of directors held an emergency vote at midnight, stripping Julian of his CEO title and locking him out of his own building. The very same keycard scanner that once denied me access was now denying him. I met Eleanor at her penthouse office downtown. The city lights twinkled below us through the floor-to-ceiling windows. She poured 2 glasses of sparkling water, handing one to me. "Phase 1 exceeded my expectations, Marcus," Eleanor said, a rare smile appearing on her face. Vanguard Bank officially terminated all negotiations, and 3 major venture capital firms have already frozen Storytime's bank accounts. "What about Julian?" I asked, leaning back against the leather sofa. "He's panicking," Eleanor replied, tapping her tablet screen. "He spent the last 6 hours calling every high-priced defense attorney in Texas. But once they heard the federal judge signed our emergency injunction, nobody wanted to touch his case." "Because of the paper trail?" "Because of the paper trail and the cryptographic proof," Eleanor said. "Tomorrow morning, we file Phase 2, a formal federal lawsuit for patent invalidation, corporate fraud, and civil racketeering." Just then, my personal phone rang. An unknown private number. I answered, placing it on speaker. "Marcus, please." Julian's voice cracked through the speaker, desperate, raw, and trembling. "Please, tell me how to bypass the lockdown. The board is going to sue me into oblivion. I'm losing everything." I listened quietly, taking a slow sip of my water. "You stole my life work, Julian," I said, my voice calm and completely void of emotion. "You gave me a cardboard box and had security throw me into the street. I made a mistake, man." Julian sobbed, completely shedding his arrogant salesman persona. "We were brothers, Marcus. We started in that garage together. I'll give you 50%. No, 80% of the company. Just unlock the servers. Fix the code." "There's nothing to fix, Julian," I replied. "The code worked exactly as designed. It protects the true owner from thieves. And as far as the company goes, there won't be an Storytime left by next week." "You ruined me," Julian suddenly screamed, his tone shifting from desperation to blind rage. "I will ruin you, Marcus. I have lawyers. I have money." Eleanor leaned toward the phone, her sharp, razor-like voice slicing through his tirade. "You had money, Julian," Eleanor said coldly, "as of 20 minutes ago. The federal court granted our petition to freeze all personal bank accounts tied to Storytime stock. You are officially broke. We will see you in court. She tapped the screen, ending the call. Silence filled the office once again. I looked out at the Austin skyline, knowing that the battle wasn't fully over. Julian was backed into a corner, bankrupt, disgraced, and facing federal charges. But a dangerous man with nothing left to lose was a man who would try anything. I opened my laptop, checking the private server status. Server status online. Phase 2 initiated. 3 days after the public embarrassment at the St. Regis Hotel. The fallout was total. Storytime's stock value had plunged to absolute zero. The board of directors officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Liquidation sales were announced for office furniture, and federal prosecutors were assembling a grand jury for corporate fraud and perjury. Julian was hiding in his multi-million-dollar mansion in the Austin Hills, avoiding the press, avoiding his investors, and ignoring process servers trying to deliver subpoenas. I stayed at a quiet hotel on the outskirts of town, spending my days reviewing legal briefs with Eleanor. It was a rainy Tuesday night when my phone vibrated on the desk, a security alert from my personal home network. I picked up the tablet, opening the live camera feed connected to my old apartment. On the screen, night vision captured two figures in dark hoodies, picking the lock on my back door. They slipped inside, holding flashlights, systematically searching my desk, my closets, tearing through drawers. They weren't common burglars. They were looking for hard drives, backup servers, anything that contained the source code or my cryptographic keys. Julian had sent thugs to steal back what he couldn't take in court. I didn't panic. In fact, I almost laughed. I picked up my phone and dialed the local police department. Yes, I'd like to report a break-in in progress at my residence. I have live streaming video evidence. Within 4 minutes, police cruisers pulled up outside my apartment, silent lights flashing red and blue. The intruders were caught red-handed, carrying 2 encrypted backup drives in my personal server rack. When the police cuffed them on the pavement, one of the men panicked. "It wasn't our idea," he shouted into the police body cam. Julian Vance paid us $10,000 cash to get those drives. The entire incident was recorded, audio, video, and physical evidence. By midnight, the district attorney added new charges to Julian's growing rap sheet: obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit burglary, and felony theft. The court issued an immediate arrest warrant. The next morning, television crews gathered outside Julian's gated community, filming live as police vehicles pulled into his driveway. Julian was let out in handcuffs, wearing faded sweatpants and a rumpled t-shirt, looking hollow, broken, and entirely defeated. The media cameras captured every second. The former tech prodigy walking into the back of a police cruiser. I watched the live broadcast from Eleanor's office, taking a slow sip of coffee. "He's done, Marcus," Eleanor said, standing behind me. Between the federal fraud charges and the burglary arrest, he's looking at 15 years in federal prison. "It's not just about stopping Julian, Eleanor," I said, turning toward her. "What happens to the patent now?" Eleanor smiled, slipping a fresh set of legal documents across her mahogany desk. "The federal court officially declared Julian's patent void due to fraud," she explained, "which means your original application is officially fast-tracked for approval. You won't just get your code back. You will hold exclusive, undisputed ownership of Course Inc. I picked up the pen. Looking at the ownership transfer documents, 5 years of endless nights, betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge led to this single moment. I signed my name at the bottom of the page. 2 weeks after Julian's mugshot dominated national headlines, the legal battlefield began to settle, with the federal court declaring Julian's patent completely void due to corporate fraud. The Patent and Trademark Office officially granted me full, undisputed ownership of Course Inc. I didn't waste a single second. Instead of reviving the tainted name of Oratech, Eleanor and I founded a brand new cybersecurity firm, Nexus Security Systems. We didn't set up shop in a lavish penthouse or hire expensive PR teams. We rented a modest, modern office space downtown and hired back every single honest developer and junior programmer who had been laid off when Oratech collapsed. Many of them had been lied to by Julian, betrayed just like I was. Bringing them into Nexus Security wasn't just good business. It was restoring the faith of a team that had been torn apart by one man's greed. On a bright Monday morning, as I stood in our new conference room, my phone rang. It was Arthur Pendleton, the Chief Risk Officer of Vanguard National Bank. "Marcus." Pendleton's stern voice came through the receiver. "I'm calling to apologize. I spent weeks dealing with a liar, when the true genius behind Course Inc. was kept in the shadows." "I appreciate that, Mr. Pendleton," I replied calmly. "Course Inc. is running on a stable, independent network now. Zero dependencies, absolute security. Vanguard still needs that level of encryption, Marcus," Pendleton said, his tone turning purely professional. "The $40 million deal we walked away from at the St. Regis. Is Nexus Security open to reopening negotiations?" "Under 2 conditions, Mr. Pendleton," I said, leaning against the window. "First, an independent third-party audit of our code to guarantee total transparency. And second, $50 million. $10 million more than Julian's contract." There was a short pause on the line, followed by Pendleton's deep, booming laugh. "You drive a hard bargain, Marcus," Pendleton said. "Draft up the agreement. Vanguard will sign it by Friday." Meanwhile, across town in the county jail, Julian was finding out that his troubles were far from over. Without cash, and with his personal bank accounts completely frozen, Julian was forced to drop his top-tier defense lawyers. He was handed a public defender who had 30 other active felony cases on his desk. His former investors were lining up to testify against him, and the 2 burglars he hired were cutting plea deals with prosecutors in exchange for lighter sentences. Testifying that Julian directly ordered the break-in, Julian sent 3 separate letters to my office, begging for a visitation meeting, pleading for me to drop the civil damages lawsuit so he wouldn't face financial ruin after serving his prison sentence. I read the first letter, holding it over the trash can. He didn't care about the 5 years he stole from me. He didn't care about my ruined reputation or my cold apartment. He only cared now because he was the one sitting in a cell. I let the letter drop into the wastebasket. Eleanor walked into my office, holding a sleek leather binder. "Vanguard just wired the first deposit. Nexus Security is officially funded." I looked out at the city, feeling a deep, quiet sense of peace. Julian thought he could steal my work and replace me, but he forgot one simple truth. You can steal a man's code, but you can never steal his mind. 6 months after his arrest, Julian Vance faced his final reckoning at the federal courthouse in downtown Austin. The courtroom was packed with journalists, former Oratech employees, and high-profile tech investors. The media dubbed it the tech fraud trial of the decade. Julian sat at the defense table, wearing an oversized faded dark blue jumpsuit. His hands were resting on the table, unnaturally still. Gone was the charismatic, smooth-talking CEO who once commanded billion-dollar boardrooms. Standing beside him was an overworked public defender, frantically shuffling through a thin stack of papers. Across the aisle, Eleanor and I sat quietly with the prosecution team. The judge hit his gavel 3 times, the sharp wooden cracks echoing off the marble walls. Court is now in session. The United States versus Julian Vance. The federal prosecutor didn't deliver a flashy opening statement. He didn't need to. One by one, the prosecution presented an airtight wall of evidence. First came the digital forensics expert, who testified under oath that my original source code timestamps predated Julian's patent application by over 24 months. Next came Arthur Pendleton testifying about Julian's willingness to deploy a compromise system to secure Vanguard's $40 million. And finally, the 2 men hired to break into my apartment took the stand, pointing their fingers directly at Julian, confirming he paid them $10,000 in cash to steal my backup drives. Julian's public defender attempted a weak defense, arguing that Julian was under immense corporate pressure and made bad decisions in the heat of the moment. But when Julian took the stand, the prosecutor backed him into a corner within 5 minutes. "Mr. Vance," the prosecutor asked, stepping close to the witness stand, "did you, or did you not, forge Marcus's signature on the patent assignment form?" Julian looked at his attorney, then looked at the jury, sweat dripping down his neck. I believed I had the right," Julian stammered, his voice barely audible. "I was the CEO. I built the company. Answer the question, Mr. Vance," the judge warned sternly. "Did you forge the signature?" Julian swallowed hard, his shoulders slumping in complete defeat. "Yes," he whispered. The courtroom erupted into quiet murmurs. The jury deliberated for less than 90 minutes. When they returned, the 4-person stood up. On the charge of federal corporate fraud, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit burglary, guilty. On the charge of perjury and patent theft, guilty. The judge looked down at Julian over his reading glasses. "Mr. Vance, you allowed greed and pride to ruin your life and betray those who trusted you. I sentence you to 12 years in federal prison, followed by full restitution of all stolen investor funds." Julian was cuffed behind his back and led through the side door. He turned his head once, looking at me with eyes filled with regret and defeat. I didn't smile. I didn't cheer. I simply watched him vanish behind the heavy steel door. The trap had closed completely. 1 year after the trial, the dust had officially settled. Standing on the top floor of the newly constructed Nexus Security headquarters in downtown Austin, I looked out at the city skyline. The neon sign of Oratech was long gone, replaced by our blue and silver Nexus emblem. Below me, in our bustling open-plan office, over 50 engineers and developers were working seamlessly. Among them were the same guys who sat with me years ago in that cold, drafty garage. We had just closed our fiscal year with over $80 million in revenue. Vanguard National Bank was our primary enterprise partner, and CoreSync was now protecting financial networks across 3 continents. I wasn't just a programmer hiding in the background anymore. I was the founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing cybersecurity firms in the nation. My phone buzzed on my desk. A notification from Eleanor Vance. She had sent over a final legal document confirming that all frozen assets from Julian's personal estate had been officially liquidated. Every single cent, $42 million, was transferred into a court-ordered restitution fund to repay the investors he defrauded. Julian was currently serving year one of his 12-year sentence at a federal correctional facility in East Texas. According to his public defender, Julian spent his days working in the prison library, earning 25 cents an hour, cleaning bookshelves and sorting legal manuals. He went from wearing $3,000 Italian suits and drinking penthouse champagne to scrubbing floors in a gray jumpsuit. Later that evening, I took a drive down to the old garage where Julian and I first built our dream. The wooden building was abandoned now, weeds growing through the cracked asphalt driveway. I walked up to the side door, pulling out an old rusted brass key from my pocket, the same key that started it all. I unlocked the door, stepped inside, and stood in the dusty room. I remembered the cold pizza boxes, the sleepless nights, and the broken promises. I remembered the morning security handed me my life in a cardboard box, thinking they had erased me. Julian thought that taking the patent meant taking my power. He thought that business was about who could lie, cheat, and steal the fastest. But he forgot that real value isn't created in a courtroom or on a stage. It's built line by line, through grit, discipline, and relentless skill. I knelt down, placed the old brass key on the dusty workbench, and locked the door behind me one last time. I walked back out into the cool evening air, slid into my car, and drove toward the bright lights of the city. The story was over. The debt was paid in full, and for the first time in 5 years, I was completely free. If you enjoyed this ultimate corporate revenge story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible Reddit stories. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done if your best friend stole your life's work? Would you have gone as far as Marcus? Or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have your own story of petty, pro, or nuclear revenge, feel free to share it in the comment section. Your story might just be featured in our next video. Thank you for watching. And until next time, remember, revenge is a dish best served with code.